Okay, get yourself set up for your practice. Sit yourself on a lift. Just come into cross legs with your hands on your knees, and then work to lift the chest up towards the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down towards the floor. Just look down at the floor, look at something that's not moving. Just spend a few moments just listening to the sound of your breath. So long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations, long, slow, deep, deliberate exhalations. Soft in the jaw, soft in the tongue, just listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Rising the heart area consciously up towards the ceiling, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears just to lengthen the neck. And then bring your hand into Namaste, press the palms firmly together, lengthen from the armpits into the elbows into the heels of the hands. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Just spend a moment to observe how you're feeling right now, observing the energy within the body, observing the state of mind, observing where you feel that you need to stretch, where you feel that you need to protect. And set an intention for your practice this morning. Take deep inhalations from the bottom of the lungs to the top. Listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Observing where the body feels it needs to extend, it needs to open. Breathe evenly into both lungs, evenly out of both lungs. Observe how the feeling of the body changes just through this simple starting posture. Just through how taking deeper inhalations, deeper exhalations, we introduce more energy into the physical body. Just observing how commune with the breath helps to unify the physical sensations of the body with the action of the breath. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Raise your heart area up to meet the chin. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. So hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area as you release the backs of your hands down toward your knees. And then as you release the chin from the chest, raise your head, just looking forwards, and allow your eyes to softly open. Hold on to your knees and lift and elevate the chest upwards. Take a deep inhalation, drawing your shoulders down. Take a slow, deep inhalation, and then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across your ribs and your shoulders, just being observant of the sensations of the physical body, from the feet into the shins, into the thighs, into the hips, into the lower back, into the middle back, into the chest, into the shoulders, into the arms, into the neck, into the head. And then come back to the center. Hold onto your knees. Lift the heart area up towards the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose. And with the exhalation, turn to the left, drawing the abdomen across. So it's never just turning from the shoulders and the neck. It's turning from the shoulders and the ribs and the abdomen, keeping the neck still, just looking forwards with the neck. Breathing evenly and deeply listening to the breath. Observing the physical sensations of the pose, the subtle sensations and the gross sensations. I don't mean gross as in disgusting, I mean gross as in big sensations. Come back to the center. Hold onto your knees. Just lift your chest. Just observe how your body feels different now than how it felt 5 minutes ago. Just take deep inhalations, filling the lungs to the top, emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. Come off your lift and then come onto your feet. Just sit back on your heels for a moment. So the big toes together, the knees apart. Just allow your seat bones to just wriggle into the inner heels. Pressing the shins firmly into the floor. Pressing the lower shins and the middle shin and the upper shin into the floor so that you activate the thighs. So that the thighs don't just feel like they're just sitting kind of limp. Press the shin bone into the shin skin to activate the thighs, and then drive the heart area up towards the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down. Come forwards with the heart area, keeping the head lifted. Stretch your hands forwards, just creeping the hands forwards, drawing that heart area forwards. Just gently press the palms into the floor, but press the palm skin into the floor. Keep the heart area lifted, keep the head lifted initially, and then finally bring your forehead down. Maintain that connection between the seat bones and the heels. Sometimes it helps to just bring the hands slightly closer to the head and then straighten the arms so that the seat bones remain in contact with the heels. Spread the fingers, spread the palms, press the palms into the floor. Squeeze the outer elbows in. Breathe evenly. Press the forehead into the floor. Press the forehead into the floor. Stretch the skull away from the shoulders so that the forehead skin gathers at the eyebrows. Just breathing evenly, stretching out any tension and tiredness. Breathing evenly, breathing deeper than you would normally breathe, making the in-breath count, making the out-breath count. Come up onto your knees, have your hands as wide apart as your mat, have your feet as wide apart as your mat. Turn your toes under and then come up into dog down. So bend your knees so that you can access the tailbone region, lifting the seat bones and the tailbone up to the ceiling, lifting the heart area up to the arms. And then straighten your legs. Just listen to the breath. Listen to the breath as it enters and as it exits. Just feel the sensations of the physical body. Observe how the body feels now as how it felt at the beginning. Does it feel any different? Keep your hands where they are, keep your feet where they are. Swing the hips forwards, come up into dog up. Keeping your arms straight, keeping your legs straight, keeping your legs away from the floor. Drawing the heart area forwards and upwards, pushing into the heels. Breathing evenly and deeply, listening to the breath. And then come back up into dog down. And then step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position. Use blocks for underneath your hands if you've got a bad back. So blocks, so you come into half uttanasana rather than full uttanasana. So you come forwards, hinging at the hips, stretching the chin and the chest forwards. Otherwise, you can do full uttanasana. So have the feet as wide apart as the mat, turning your toes inwards so that the outside edge of your feet line up with the edge of the mat. Stamp the big toes firmly into the floor, stretch the little toes out. So make sure that there's this feeling that the legs are turning inwards, starting from the toes are turning inwards. Lift up into the chest, raise your arms up to the ceiling, have your arms wide for the moment. Lift the heart area up to the ceiling. Just feel how good it feels to just open the front chest and to present the front of the body to the skies. And then hook the thumb into the crease of the elbow and then wrap your fingers around the elbows. Lift up into the heart area, keep the head lifted, and then come forwards, hinging at the hips, driving the heart forwards, and then let the head hang down. Tighten your kneecaps. Lift the fronts of the thighs up towards the top of the legs. Breathe evenly and deeply listen to the breath. Stamping the heels into the floor by hitting the shins back. Lifting the seat bones up away from the heels. Just observing how the physical body responds to the pose. Just listening to the breath, observing the sensations of the body. Sometimes it's difficult to observe the sensation of the body because you tend to observe the areas of resistance and the other areas perhaps even feel a little numb of sensation. So draw your attention into those areas of dullness and then really observe and examine the activity of that area. Bring in colour to the dullness. Activating that area a little more firmly if need be. Breathe into the skin. Okay, release your hands down to the floor just momentarily. Just come into half uttanasana, extending the chin and the chest forwards, driving that heart area forwards, keeping the head lifted. Just reacquainting yourself with the action of the legs. And then bring your hands into your hips. Bend your knees on the way up if you need to. Come up into a standing position. And then come into Tadasana. So just be in Tadasana, inner edge of the feet together. Big toes and the heels touching. Spread the toes, spread the little toes out to the side. Stretch the fingers in sympathy with the toes. Again, driving the heart area upwards, activating your legs. Just spend a few moments just observing the sensations of the body. Turn your palms and the upper arms outwards. So that you broaden the collarbone, you activate the arms differently. Feel how the body engages in the pose. Bring your arms out nice and wide, spreading the fingers, spreading the palms, feeling the palm skin stretch. Bend your elbows, bring your elbows, your hands in towards your chest, and then bend your knees and step and jump your feet apart. Step or jump. And then go back to the chest, lifting the heart area upwards. Observe how the feet connect to the floor. Which part of the feet connect to the floor? Is it the inside edge of the feet that feel heavier and the outside edge of the feet that feel lighter? Can you activate your legs so that the outside edge of the foot becomes more predominant and the inside of the foot lifts, the instep lifts, the big toes and the inner heel stay down? Tighten the kneecaps. Turn the left toes in and the right leg and foot all the way out. Just facing the front, lifting the chest, activating the legs. And then come over and find the shin looking up towards the top leg, top arm. Feel that the feet make good contact with the floor, turning the thighs from the inside out. Drawing that front leg buttock bone forwards, lifting the chest. Look down as your head over your foot. If it's not, lift the chest all the more. Turn the head up to face the ceiling. And breathe, listen to the sound of the breath. Draw your attention into the sensations of the pose. And then reach up, come back to the center, swap the feet around, turn the right toes in, the left leg and foot all the way out. Come on then. Oh, come on. Sorry about that. Oh, you're right. Sorry, just bonked his head on the door. Lift up into the chest, spread the palms all the way out. Turn these inner thighs all the way out. Maybe go a little bit wider, step a little bit wider with your legs. And then come down, find the shin, turn the chest upwards. Feel how keeping that back leg rod straight helps to extend the spine. Just be in the pose. Have the intention of doing the pose so that you can feel the pose. And through that feeling, you can see the pose, even though the eyes are looking elsewhere. Breathe into the pose and draw your thoughts into the breath and the physical sensations of the pose. And then we simply become the pose. Just stretch up with the top hand, come back to the center, bring your feet parallel. And then step or jump your feet back together. Come back into Tadasana and then just lift up into the chest. Observe how your body is feeling. Listen to the breath. So we can do uttanasana, but with the feet together. You may very well need some blocks, as you would use in half uttanasana. So have the blocks where you can reach them, and then stand with the 2 feet together. So uttanasana feels very different when the feet are together. So have the inner edge of the feet touching, big toes touching, heels touching, and then just draw your attention into the feet. Do you drop in the insteps, or can you bring the insteps up? So turn the fronts of the thighs in. That has a tendency to make you drop into the insteps. So turn the fronts of the thighs in. That gives you space in your hips, but then you've got to push the inner knees away from each other and lift the inner knees up towards the groin to kind of counterbalance that action. Have your hands on your hips, lift the heart area upwards, and then raise your arms. Keep your arms lifted, keep your head lifted. Drive forwards with the heart area. Hinge in at the hips, keeping the arms straight, keeping the arms lifted, keeping the head lifted, driving forwards with the heart area. And then reach down and find the blocks. You may need more height than normal. So have the blocks underneath your shoulders. So you might need more height than normal. So maybe put the blocks on a chair. So Ian, just move your blocks are right there by your feet. Have your blocks by your underneath your shoulders. So move your blocks forwards, away from your feet, away from your feet. That's it. Good. And then turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Gives you space to then tilt the seat bones up towards the ceiling. Turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, and maybe even start to creep the heels apart a little. So it's that action of turning the thighs, makes the heels kind of separate, and then lift up into the seat bones. So it's this kind of pelvic action. It's the cow pose almost, isn't it? Lifting the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards, driving forwards with the heart area, keeping the head lifted. So you may very well want to stay at this stage. If you can go down a little lower, then do. Just bear in mind that you shouldn't expect your body to be able to do this pose in the same way as you do when your feet are apart, because feet together is more restrictive. If you're miles away, bring your feet about hip width apart. So Ian, maybe step your feet apart a little bit, but keep the toes turning in. And then it will give you a little more space. Project the chin and the chest forwards. Breathing evenly, so it's a standing forward bend. If you can go down any lower, then do, but not at the expense of this. We don't want this, because that's just kind of a weird kind of crouching position. So keep the legs straight, keep the heart area driving forwards, keep the legs turning inwards, keep the seat bones lifting upwards, keep the chin and the chest extending away. Don't go beyond your body's limitations. Observe the sensations of the feeling of the pose. Take deep inhalations. If you can go further, then bring the nails of the hands in line with the nails of the toes, and then bring the palms of the hands down, but keep the chin and the chest lifted, keeping driving forwards with the heart area, keeping the head lifted, and then drive the heart area closer to the legs, breathing evenly and deeply, stretching out the lower back, stretching out the legs. Push the hands into the floor like you want to kick up into a handstand. Okay, and then just release your hands step your feet apart and then come into half uttanasana. Turning the toes inwards, lifting the chest. So observe that bringing the feet apart just instantly gives you more space in the hips. And then keep your legs straight and then walk your hands towards the end of your mat. If you can't reach the floor, then of course bend your knees to find the floor. Walk your hands away. Have your feet hip width apart. And then just lift up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Just feel how the pose feels different. Focusing on deep inhalations. They bring in energy to the body. They bring in that feeling and sensation of lightness. Don't just be in the pose. Be in the pose with observation, drawing your thoughts into the pose. You're doing, feeling, seeing, breathing, thinking, being. So go back to that first stage of feeling. Is there evenness of the sensations of the legs, of the arms, between the legs and the arms? Evenness of activation. Okay, come down onto your knees. Just sit back on your heels. Lift up into the chest. Just spend a moment just to observe feeling inside the physical body. Observe your energy. Observe how your energy feels now compared to how your energy felt at the beginning of the session. That lightness that comes through our practice. Just stay on your seat bones and then stretch forwards into Adho Mukha virasana, just stretching out the lower back. Okay, and then just bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Just sitting back on your heels for a moment. And then just sit directly on the floor and then stretch your legs away. I want you to sit on a couple of blocks. Just sit on a lift and have a belt handy. So sit yourself on your lift and then extend your legs away. Just get hold of the belt, have the inner edge of the feet together, just throw the belt around the feet. and then push the feet into the belt, turning the fronts of the legs inwards, activating the thighs, activating the kneecaps, so making the thigh muscle lift up towards the top of the hip, pressing the thigh muscle into the bone, pressing the kneecaps into the sockets, pressing the shins into the floor, and then elevate the heart area away from the legs, drawing the shoulders down. Just spend some time inhaling deeply, exhaling deeply, bringing in energy to the physical body. Feeling that you can separate the legs from the torso from the legs. Just listening to the sound of the breath. And then bend your knees, bring the feet into physical body, into the seat bones, and then keep the belt, because when you're sitting on the lift, you can lift the chest better, but often when I find when I'm sitting on a lift, if I get hold of my big toes, it really encourages this area to drop. Of course, you can counteract that with a lift, but sometimes it's useful to give yourself a little bit more space and hold onto the belt. So have the belt around the outside edge of the feet, and then work to elevate the chest upwards. Lifting the chest, lengthening from the inner groin into the inner knee around to the outer knee, and the outer knee into the outer thigh, up into the hip. Projecting the heart area upwards, drawing your shoulders down. Just take deep inhalations and exhalations. Consciously pushing the heels together. Listen to the breath. Deep inhalations, deep exhalations. Driving the spine upwards. And then just gently release the legs, stretch the legs out in front, and then bring your feet apart. So staying on the lift, bring your feet apart, get hold of the back of the right knee, and then bend the knee and bring the foot close to the blocks so that you can see the instep of that right foot on the outside of the thigh. So the knees are kind of as close together as they were when the legs were outstretched. So you can see the instep on the outside of the thigh. Just adjust a little if you need to. And then bend the left leg and bring the leg into virasana and bring the shin into the instep of the right foot. And then just adjust. So the knees, so we don't want knees like this. Bring your knees together like they were just stretched out in front of you. So at this stage, chances are you probably, so Ian, bring this this knee in a little. Your knee is out like that. So see if you can bring that knee in, and then try and bring the knees together. It could be a bit of camera angle. That's it. That looks better. So just lift up, roll the buttock flesh out to the side. Just separate the buttock flesh slightly so that you can feel like you're sitting evenly. But sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you still don't feel like you're sitting very evenly. So get a blanket and then prop the right buttock bone up with the left buttock bone kind of hanging off the blanket, so that you start to feel that maybe you can get level hips, because you don't want the hips to be like this and then turn it. It's not going to feel nice in your spine. So just have the hips level, lift up into your chest, driving the chest upwards. Stretch up with the left arm, extending up towards the ceiling, rotating the whole of the arm from the so that the palm is almost facing the back of the room. Lift up into the chest, turn to the right, bring your right hand, dig the right hand into the floor or into the blocks that you're sitting on. Just find good connection. And then bring that left hand down onto the outside of the right knee. Lifting up, trying to keep the seat bones level. And turn from the abdomen. Bhardvajasana 1. Just listen to the breath. Using the out breath to intensify the turn of the spine. And then gently come back to the center. Just move the lift out from underneath the seat bones and then stretch the legs out in front. And just reset on the lift. With your feet apart, bring the left knee in this time. Bend that left knee and then bring the heel underneath the thigh so that you can see the instep on the outside, the instep of that left foot on the outside of the right thigh. So that's important because that, if your foot doesn't go underneath the leg enough, then your knees are kind of pointing in different directions. So bring that foot out to the side so that you can see the instep and your knees are still in line with each other here. And then bend the right leg, bring that leg into virasana, and then rest the shin in the instep. And then aim to draw the buttock flesh out to the side so that you can even out the levelness of the hips. If that doesn't work, then just prop a blanket underneath the left buttock bone, letting the right buttock bone just kind of hang in midair a little. And then your hips should feel nice and level. So raise up with the right hand, turn the chest, reach the left hand behind you, dig the hand into the floor or the blocks, and then reach down and across with that right knee, lifting up into the chest and turning. Listening to the breath. Pressing that right knee firmly into the floor, giving you somewhere to move away from. Turning the abdomen from the right to the left. Lifting up into the chest. And then come back to the center. Just remove the blanket and then stretch your legs out in front. Just stretch your legs away and then lift up into the chest. And then come down onto your back into supta, baddha konasana. So come down onto your back and pull your feet towards you. Have the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall apart, and then just lengthen yourself down along the floor. Just breathe evenly and deeply listening to the breath. Just turning the tailbone in a little just to press the lower back, the lumbar area into the floor. Stretch your arms up, interlock your fingers, turn the palms of the hands all the way out, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. If there's stiffness in your hips, you can put some blocks underneath your thighs. If there's stiffness in your shoulders, then you can put a blanket or a folded blanket or some blocks underneath your hands just to support your shoulders. Otherwise, draw your attention back into the physical sensations of the pose. Observing where there is resistance, observing where there is a feeling of extension. Drawing your attention into areas of dullness. Reading the sensations in that region. This is a more passive pose, so there's less likely to be feelings of deep extension. But nonetheless, it's still important to maintain that connection with the physical sensations of the physical body. Drawing your focus and attention into the toes, into the shins, into the thighs, into the hips, into the lumbar, into the belly button, into the chest, into the armpits, into the shoulders, into the arms, the wrists, the hands, the fingers, the fingernails, into the neck and the head. To be present within the physical pose. Just release your arms up to the ceiling, swap the interlock of the fingers so the opposite index finger is on the top of the stack, and then turn the palm out, palms outwards, and then bring your arms along the floor. Observe the difference in the shoulders just from the different interlocking of the fingers. Try not to allow your mind to wander. Keep your attention focused on the physical body. Okay, and then release your hands. Just rest your hands on your lower ribs. Just observe your breathing from the inside. Observe your breathing from the outside, from the rising and the falling of the abdomen. Okay, draw your knees together, have your knees together, your feet apart. Just grab yourself a blanket, a folded blanket, and then place that underneath your head, supporting the back of your neck and your head. Just move equipment out of the way that might be in the way. And then straighten out your legs, just lift your head, just make sure you're in a really good straight line. And then just allow yourself to surrender into the floor. Just let go of the physical body. Let go of the muscles of the arms and the legs. Unhook the muscles of the arms and the legs. Allow the physical body to become heavy into the floor. And out of that heaviness comes a lightness radiating out from the bones. Radiating from the bones into the muscle and into the flesh and the organs and the skin. Sending waves of healing energy into the physical body. Using your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of lightness evenly throughout the body, down into the tips of the toes, into the tips of the fingers, and into the top of the head. Just basking in that feeling of energetic lightness. And then when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. And then bend your knees, bring your knees in toward your chest. Just have a little rock, a grounding massage on the spine, just bringing your attention back into the physical body, back into the room. And then when you're ready, roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg. Just come back up into a seated position and sit yourself In, cross legs. With the hands in Namaste, just a final spinal lift. Drawing your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the reclining poses bring to the body and to the mind. Just observe the feeling of the body now compared to the feeling of the body at the beginning of the session. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then very gently release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you feel as though you have really released your energy, giving yourself lots of good, positive energy to put into your day. Thank you very much for joining me.